Hey, welcome back to the podcast. So to start off, Andrew, you have a little icebreaker.
Yeah, so I brought my tarot cards this time, and I thought I would draw a card for each of us, and then we could
Okay.
just intuit or just free associate with it.
Okay.
All right. Want me to draw one for you first?
Sure. I'm not as versed on tarot reading though, so you might have to help me.
It's even better because then you have no preconceptions.
Okay.
Yeah. Could be a Rorschach ink blot.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay, so we got Ten of Wands.
Ten
Can
of
you see that
Wands.
okay?
Well, yeah, kind of. That's like a path with some people on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see it. It's interesting. So, I mean, 10 is like a nice even number and divisible by a lot of things, and the path is like moving forward. So, and it looks like the people are kind of crowded around like a caravan or something. So, like working together to move forward.
Anything else you want to say, or you feel
No,
good
I
about
feel
that?
good about that.
Awesome. That's a good card. That's a really good card, actually.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, I've got another good card too. I got the Ace of Swords.
Nice. Ooh, fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, very fancy.
For me, this card represents clarity, focus, being one-pointed, like putting your whole being into something. Yeah, which is something I really need. I'm glad that came up. Yeah, we got some very positive cards. That's good.
That's good. That's a good sign, right? Nothing ominous.
Off to a great start.
Yeah. Um, so the first thing was we're going to talk about music. I've been
Oh, should
listening
we
to a lot of music. Oh,
sorry, should we do like a segue from um like a quick overview of like um this is what's happened since our last episode, I guess.
I don't even know what I would say because I can't even
Yeah.
remember what was happening.
Yeah. I think that
Um,
says everything, kind of. We both been
yeah,
through a lot of crap.
yeah. No, I mean I was in the hospital, so like that was pretty intense.
Hmm.
Um, I was hearing voices and I thought I was like communicating with people on YouTube. So, which I guess, if you leave comments, that is a form of communication, but I had the video playing on my phone and I was like talking to the video. So, it was a very interesting and enlightening experience of like, it kind of just felt like everything was very focused on me and I had to learn to like not have everything be about me all the time. That's kind of oversimplifying it, but yeah, I'll just say it was a very intense experience. And now I'm back to working again, thankfully, but I had to take a lot of time off. What about you?
It was powerful. Um, yeah, for me, revisiting a lot of grief, intense grief. Um, I went through some identity. crises and had some pretty deep reflections about um, gender and archetypes and my trauma. um, it felt like just a sweeping of my soul, just everything, my some of my deepest insecurities coming up and just having the need to face them. And I wouldn't say that I am completely out of that, but I think I've made some pretty big steps forward and some some trauma that I think I've been able to look at in a different way and bring some loving attention to.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. I've been working through like some grief too, and it's a really difficult process to go through,
Yeah.
but hopefully rewarding. And I have, to segue, I have been using music to do that. um,
Right.
Listening to music that reminds me of my dad and stuff. I'm not into heavy metal. He was into heavy metal, so it's kind of like metal light stuff. Sort of reminds me of him, somewhere in the middle.
Nice.
Um, I figured out that on iPhone, this is a beta feature, but you can turn on closed captions. And I was just like interested in it because sometimes the songs on Spotify don't have lyrics. And so I wanted to see like what they said because sometimes I don't understand like if the song is too fast or something. Um, and then it started like saying things like hi or me or you that were not a part of the song, and it was kind of like a bizarre experience. And sometimes I would say hi back, and then it would feel like it was talking to me, but then long story short, I realized you can't just do everything your phone says because it's fucking insane. Because it would be like eat, and then I would eat, and then it would start saying other things, and I'm like, this is bizarre. Like I can't just live my life around my phone telling me what to do. But it was a good
Ooh.
reminder that kind of like pulled me out of that state of psychosis I was in because I started like for a while, I didn't know what day of the week it was. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't taking my medication on time. And so, like, through this process of having my closed captions on, I started to be able to tell, like, okay, I have a calendar. Now I can tell what day of the week it is. It's right here. And using the calendar in my phone, I have a pillbox. And so, like, it kind of helped me invite more structure into my life, which my husband helped me with too. But I think that music has really helped me to, I don't know, it just helps me. Like, I have an earbud in, and I've been doing that more lately because it kind of helps me to be more present. And I just listen to music when I work because it helps me focus. So, I don't know. It's almost like I have noise going on in my head, and music helps to drown out the noise.
Hmm. Yeah. I um I like what you said about you can't do everything your phone tells you to do. I feel
Yeah,
like there's such a powerful message behind that that just like even for me like I wasn't having that experience per se, but I feel like lately I've been more and more attached to my phone and using it as like a coping mechanism and just going on Reddit a lot and different like forums looking for answers and I've noticed it's become kind of like an anxiety driven response.
yeah, yeah. I think like it's kind of like your lid flipping, your prefrontal cortex, and then like I've gotten into states of mind where I'm doing like hours and hours of online research, and it just come becomes self-destructive, where you're like just it's kind of like picking at a scab. You just want to find more information or more answers about the thing, but there's only going to be a limited amount of information that you're going to find, and you don't always know if it's credible or not, especially if you're going on a place like Reddit. That's just people stating opinions. Um,
Hmm. Yeah,
so, yeah.
it's nice sometimes if you're um, going through a state where it's nice to have other people who are going through it too and who can like relate to it. And so like I've been kind of finding peer support on Reddit. Um,
Yeah.
but it like sometimes would also make the feelings worse. So for me, a lot of it was OCD related, and
Yeah.
I'd go on there seeking support for OCD, different OCD themes, and it got to a point where I was just looking at it just several times a day and just like compulsively. And so, like, almost like looking at Reddit became a compulsion itself. And um, recently, I decided I just have to uninstall the app from my phone and just take a break
Mm.
from it.
Yeah, I use Reddit sparingly now. I thought about deleting it for a while, but I just kind of like use it for a couple of things. Like the psychosis subreddit is pretty supportive. Um, Sometimes like the posts can get kind of dark, but usually what people have to say is like fairly supportive. Um, and then just like a couple fan pages and stuff to keep it light.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was I'd say in the beginning it was super helpful for me because I was going through a really intense identity crisis and was looking for just to see if other people were experiencing what I was experiencing and to find that other people were experiencing like pretty much the exact same thing and to hear how they worked through it and what they were doing for it and just the fact that they were there felt super affirming and it felt like it got me through the worst phase of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be pretty powerful to find out that people have had like similar experiences to you, and um, it can also help to see avenues for healing if people can tell you like things that they've tried. I think with something like psychosis, it's really hard because like the thing about psychosis is you don't know you're in psychosis. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, to come out of it is like a really long process, and then it's also hard because you don't know when the next time could be that you have an occurrence of that. Um, and for me, it started off as a spiritual awakening, but then it kind of spiraled out of control when, like, a bunch of stuff was messed up with my meds and other things. um, I was, like, overextending myself at work when I didn't have to. And I was just, like, putting a lot of energy into everything and feeling like I had to be in an altered state in order to do things like write poetry, which isn't true. I can still like be creative without being in an altered state.
Mm.
Um, but I think like part of it was being stuck in that place and then needing to realize that I could still do the things that I wanted to do without being in a state of like constant energy. um, we all need
Yeah.
to rest, right?
That's interesting what you said about like feeling like you need to be in an altered state to write poetry because I felt that too with more so with things like intuition and having big revelations about myself. I feel like sometimes it feels like I have to take psychedelics or be in like a really deep meditative state or something to do that. But lately I've been realizing that I can still have some of that just on my own. Like I don't necessarily need to go that deep.
Yeah.
Um, think there is still a state change when you go from like just an ordinary level of consciousness to one that's more open to creativity and intuition and things like that. It is still a state change, but it doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be like a full altered state.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think like music really inspires me to write poetry. Like sometimes I'll integrate like song lyrics into the poetry and it kind of like stacks up on each other. Like I kind of figure
Hmm.
out how to write a poem from there. Um, and there was one point I was writing 3 poems a day, and I think that was a little much. I've gone down to like maybe one a day or every other day,
That's
which
really
is
good.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I have a decent amount of poems now.
yeah, yeah. With the music, it's so interesting to me because I feel like we had a lot of this same experience, but just it showed up, I guess, in a different way. Because for me, I didn't have the captions on, so it wasn't so much about like um, seeing words and then um, feeling like a conversation was happening that way, but it did feel like there was a conversation happening just through the music itself. And
Yeah.
well, I guess I mean, yeah, it was through the words because I would listen so intently to it, and there was a point, especially when I was really deep in my grief, where it felt like the songs that would come up would exactly match my mood and what I was thinking about, or it would feel like a direct response to just what was going on. And it all started with when I first found out that my ex had overdosed. Um, I I asked him to, so he made this playlist sometime before he died, and I started listening to it, and I asked him to choose a song from there, and the song out of 1,000 songs, the song that was randomly picked was it felt exactly speaking to how I was feeling, and it said um, leaving behind what's mine, reach out and you'll find I'm with you all the time.
Wow. Yeah, that is intense.
I just started like bawling my eyes out when I heard that, and um, ever since then, I felt like I would have whole conversations with that playlist,
Yeah.
and it would just get intense, extremely. Like um, a few weeks ago, I so I would have days where I would just spend almost the whole day just listening to music, just lying down listening and kind of like meditating on it, and um, just feeling like the music would just take me on this journey, like because every song would match something in me, and it felt like it would just kind of take me deeper into those feelings, and then um, it felt therapeutic.
Mm.
And then there was a point the last time I was doing that where I just had this impulse to pray, and I almost never pray like this. I just started getting on my knees and praying, and not to like, God, quote unquote, but more just to like whatever can hear me, whatever is the, I don't know. I try not to give a name to it, but whatever is here. And the very moment that I got on my knees, literally the next song that came on was saying, getting on your knees and praying. It happened like exactly like a few seconds after I got on my knees. I'm not even kidding. And um, it just felt so freaking surreal. I just,
Yeah.
um, when that happens so much and then it happens like that, it's just like a perfect moment. It's just, um,
Yeah, that's
it's a reality bender, you know?
yeah. I this isn't the same at all, but I had an experience where I was in the kitchen and I was looking at the closed captions, and for some reason I kept interpreting it as like sexual or something. Like I felt disgusted looking at the things, and I turned away and I was cooking. And then all of a sudden this song came on that was like, "We're gay." And I was like, "What?" And I just jumped like, "Okay."
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I feel like so many synchronicities happen.
Yeah.
You know, just really bizarre coincidences that are so precise, way too precise to be just chance. And when it keeps happening, it's because I know people say, well, I mean, statistically, meaningful coincidences are bound to happen
Yeah.
um, every once in a while. But when it happens so frequently, like several times a week, sometimes multiple times a day, it's just I just have this feeling that there's a language, there's a conversation with reality that happens, and I think it's the thing that things like the law of attraction try to point to, but I think they have maybe a limited understanding of it. I think it's much deeper than just like you think something and you manifest it. I think it's more like it's like a dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just
Like a
always alive. It's just like everything's always alive.
yeah,
There's
like a
nothing that's not.
dialogue with the world.
Yeah, whatever this is,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what this is. It's something's happening. There's colors, there's sounds, sensations, but we have no idea what any of that is.
Do you mean like the spirit?
Just what's happening, like even right now, we have no idea what
Oh,
this is. It's
like
we
perception.
we put labels on it. Um, we hypothesize where it comes from, but we have no idea. Um,
Creation or like
yeah,
our
yeah.
origin.
What all we really know is that something's happening,
Yeah.
and it's it's mysterious. Something that there's
Yeah.
something in us that wants to know what it is and
Well,
wants to
yeah. I
label it.
mean, I had an experience on psychedelics where I was like, we're all just chemical reactions in our brains. And it was really surreal. I was like, everything is just, and I was taking anatomy and physiology at the time, so I was like thinking about all the channels, like the sodium channels in your brain and stuff. Um, and it's like, yeah, you can water it down to that, but that doesn't like truly explain every part of the human experience.
Right. And even any of that, we only know that through experience.
Yeah.
Um, if we observe sodium, it's still a splash of color. We're looking through a microscope, apparently seeing something,
Yeah.
and we're labeling it sodium. But it's just an arrangement of color. We have no idea what that inherently is. We see results and we extrapolate what it might be based on those results, but we don't know what where any of that comes from.
Why we're even here at all.
Why any of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why this very this right now, where it comes from. It's happening, and it's just the weird. It's just
Yeah, I think if I think too hard about that, then I would go into psychosis again. I mean, not really, but those are the kind of like existential thoughts that keep me up at night.
it's fine line between that and awakening, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think my awakening was like some of it was induced by stimulants and being on too high of a dose. So, and for anybody out there, don't just stop taking stimulants without tapering like I did. Very
Yeah.
bad. Don't do that.
Oh man. Mm. Yeah, there's a lot I want to say about the clinical worldview versus other worldviews of seeing reality. Um, I'm feeling into what's the most relevant for this conversation. I think there's fear behind some of those worldviews that collapse reality into a fixed thing that we know and understand, and that corresponds with how we see mental health. We collapse it into it's a brain disorder that we understand, plug in some chemicals, um, and just the overall sense that if something uncomfortable happens, we have to do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like medication can have its benefits, right? The therapist that I'm seeing now, he kind of worded it as like sometimes you need to hit the ground when you're in an altered state, you need to crash, and medication can help you like fully crash instead of just kind of floating in this weird space where like you can't sleep, you can't eat, and you're just like it's really hard to be human. Um, so I can appreciate that perspective of like you don't have to like suppress everything with medication, but sometimes it if the person is feeling like that's what they need right now, it can serve an important role. Um, so, and it's hard too when a lot of these medications have pretty severe side effects, especially like some of the older meds. But you have to look at it holistically, right? You can't just throw meds at it and then expect that it's going to get better. The research actually shows that that doesn't work. You have to also have some other kind of thing happening. Um, I don't necessarily think that therapy is the answer. Like, I have a good therapist now, but I pay out of pocket. So it's that's the trade-off, and I
Hmm.
think that therapy can be helpful, but it's not going to therapy is not going to fix like systemic issues. Um, there's also like could be diet for some people, it could be exercise, it could be how you're spending your time. Like if you're spending your time in front of screens all the time, how is that going to impact your mental health? And I know that's something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but sometimes it is like you really do need to touch grass. Like you need to walk away from your devices and just like do something out in nature because it's not humans were not made to be in front of screens all the time. Um, having outlets like art or poetry and stuff, and also financial freedom, which is something I've really had to find out the hard way. And the way that our system currently is, it's like people can get easily stuck in these dead end jobs, and it's almost like necessary for society to function the way it does. Like people get annoyed that they can't get their chicken nuggets at McDonald's because there's not enough people working there, but then don't want them to get paid adequately. So it's like, what do
Mm.
you do?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, like
Yeah, what you're saying is it's a lot of dimensions of life that I think it's great for us as peers to help people navigate, help people navigate finances, their relationship with nature, their relationship with their career or their job, because a lot of that plays a role. It's not just be on medications or going to therapy. I think peer support can get pigeonholed sometimes when we're working for institutions into kind of just supporting people in navigating the mental health system.
yeah.
And sometimes if we're overworked or we have a high caseload, like that's all we kind of end up doing. But what you're talking about, I think that all of that connects to peer support. Like what we as peers can do, we help people explore those other dimensions of life and how to find like more holistic wellness. Ideally, when we have the freedom to do that.
Yeah. Hmm.
I know for me, it's huge to go out in nature.
Yeah.
Ever since I got rid of my car, it's been kind of like cutting some part of my soul out of me because I would just go to the gorge if I was feeling overwhelmed. I would just go hike. I would hike for a whole day and just feel freaking amazing. And now it's a lot harder. In the summer, I would walk to the park, and that would kind of meet some of that need. But I miss it. I miss just going out in nature, away from a lot of people, just mostly by myself.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully where I live, there's a lot of nature near us. Um, like parks and stuff or wetlands. And it's nice to just go for a walk and have look at the birds and shit.
Yeah,
um, unfortunately, because it's been so cold, I've been staying inside for the past few days and it feels weird. I walked on the treadmill and I like ran up and down the stairs a few times to get my energy out, and I'll like do yoga in the garage, but when it's this cold I'm like I don't want to freaking go outside.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Same. But yeah, I know that that's a huge part of my wellness. If I disconnect from nature, I feel like I lose something. I feel like it's easier for me to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been kind of in that state lately, just kind of more sensitive, more overwhelmed, almost like in a somatic kind of way too, even. And
Mm.
um, I notice I've been doing a lot of like a lot of people have been reaching out to me. I've been doing a lot of like talking with different people online and over the phone, and um, been in my head a lot. And I feel like I need to, like this weekend, I'm planning to just turn my phone off the whole time and just, just stay off social media and I just feel like I need to disconnect from that to take a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, sometimes I'll like mindlessly scroll through Facebook and just all I've been doing lately is sharing like SpongeBob memes.
Mhm.
And like it's fun, but then it's also like, am I actually doing something productive? No.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been questioning if I'm neurodivergent, and I think I probably am. Um, and coming to terms with the fact that my system can get overloaded with certain things pretty easily, and that I really need to like give myself the space to decompress. Because if I don't, it's like I carry all that with me, and
Yeah.
it it affects things. It just it 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 muddies the water. It leaves things less clear
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel similarly where like it's definitely can be easy for me to get either overstimulated or understimulated where like I think that's why it helps me to listen to music because if there's not enough going on, I will just start zoning out. So having this going in my ear helps me to like still hear what you're saying. Whereas sometimes if I don't have anything going on, I might be like, I'm thinking about the TV show I was watching last night and not actually listening to what you're saying.
Right. And the world we live in is seemingly conditioning us to do. Yeah, it's weird how right when you said that, this loud noise was coming on over there, and it's like, what's going on? Um, it's yeah, our world right now bombards us. It's an expectation right now of our society to be swamped with information and stimulus.
Yeah, but then also somehow ignore it.
Yeah, but I think people are less and less able to do that, especially the younger generations. I think we're habituating to um, having our attentions pulled.
Yeah.
Habituating not in the sense of tuning out, but habituating in the sense of like, well, because it's almost like we're conditioned. We get positive feedback when something grabs our attention and we turn to it in a lot of ways. Whether it's people messaging us and we respond to them, or whether it's an ad that has some kind of language in it that says, "Oh, if you pay attention to me, your life is going to get better," or if it's sometimes even just think a threat response if we're in a city and if like we're conditioned to look out more for violence, or if we're hearing more reports from the news that like shootings are going up or whatever's
Hmm.
happening is going up, um, then there's like a conditioning that it's important for us to pay attention to every noise and everything going on because it
Yeah,
could be a
and
threat too.
like giving in to that fear response. Like every time I call my mom, she's like, "Oh my God, you know, Elon Musk is saying F you to all of the advertisers on Twitter." And I'm like, "Mom, I don't care. I don't use Twitter." And I don't think she
Yeah.
uses Twitter either.
Yeah, exactly. But we're getting sucked in, and political things and things with thought leaders, all this stuff. It's people are framing it as if you people are pitching it as an existential threat if you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
If you don't listen to this episode or if you don't watch this news report, you're ignoring the downfall of our society. That's kind of the energy that's out there right now.
Yeah.
So um, so there's fear sometimes that, oh, if I don't pay attention, maybe I'm gonna miss news about us getting nuked, or maybe I'm gonna miss us miss the rising dictatorship. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and the thing with stuff like crime is like we're not in the olden days where you could just kill people and hide the body and no one would know because you're out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like it's not like that anymore. There's a lot more ways for people to get caught now or to like have those things not happen. It's terrible when things do happen, especially mass shootings. I'm not saying like that, that's still terrible, but it it's just like there were so many other things in the past that people could just get away with, and we're not in that time anymore where people just, you know, I've watched too much true crime.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty though. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're all kind of tuned into on an unconscious level, that there's so much uncertainty and so many things could happen um, that could throw things off balance.
Yeah.
Which maybe is part of the process of our society. You know, it's like on an individual level, crisis sometimes brings up things that we need to look at. Maybe that's true on a society level too.
Well, I'd like to think that changes we make as individuals can lead to lasting social change. And hmm. Sorry, this song came on that's like I hate my life, I hate my job, and now I'm like having a hard time focusing. It's not with that one.
Yeah, I think it speaks to some of this too. I mean, last year there were a lot of moments I felt like I hated my life.
Well, yeah, there were times this year I wanted to end my life.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard out there. I just wish we all lived in Star Trek where there was like you just had everything there. You know, you don't there's not really a need for money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we could get to that at some point.
Yeah, that's the hope. That would require a lot of change, though.
Yeah. Something that does inspire me is seeing people wanting to create new kinds of communities, like eco villages and intentional communities and off-grid places. I'm seeing that a lot more, like just from around the world. I'm seeing more people talk about that.
Yeah, that's something I personally wouldn't do, but I could see the benefits. Um, yeah, I like my house.
Yeah, yeah. I think it could be like a petri dish,
Yeah,
um, like ways to experiment with different things of how we can live in society. And I could see some of those ideas cross-pollinating, with the larger world and maybe spreading some of those ideas more.
yeah,
Like the gift economy, like that's one example of it's people just donate things and then just to the community and then whoever needs it takes it. And
yeah,
I kind of see some of that in Portland here with in some neighborhoods they'll have like these big boxes that they'll just put out on the sidewalk and they'll people will put things in there like just household items or clothes or things people need and you can just
yeah.
you
Or
walk up pick things up.
there's like buy nothing groups where you just
Yeah.
give stuff away or do
Yeah.
trades.
Or those little libraries on the sidewalk, like the little they almost look like
Oh,
birdhouses with doors on
yeah,
them.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen community fridges too. Like people will have a fridge outside and be like, you can take what you need. So it's interesting.
Yeah. It feels like there's a deep sadness.
Sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, I guess it just feels like there's a deep sadness around sorry, I'm just it I'm just listening to listening to this feeling. God, I'm gonna sound so weird for some people probably right now, but it feels like something almost in my spine
Mm,
and um piercing, piercing. I see the color red and black. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm just trying to recognize feelings as they come up, including ones that seem nebulous.
mm,
Because I feel like if it's coming up, it's for a reason. Um, it feels like there's anger behind the sadness, like a rage.
mm. Yeah, I think when at least for me, when I feel like that deep rage, it's hard to tap into. I feel like that kind of rage has been used against me before, and so it feels like difficult to channel that out or like even
Yeah.
admit that it's there sometimes.
Yeah, it feels like it's compressed.
Yeah.
Almost like it's compressed in the spine, and it feels just like there's this whole blanket of sadness around it, but there's this rage right in the middle, and it's just like compressed.
Well, actually, when you said that, my shoulder started hurting. Like, what
Oh,
the
weird.
heck?
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but I know for me, I've been trying to understand my anger better. In the past, I was really ashamed about it because I didn't want it to make it. There was a time in my life when anger came with some really dark thoughts, and I'm embarrassed about the kind of person I was at that time. I never acted on the anger, but I really dwelt on it a lot, and so for shoot, probably 20 plus years, I had so much shame around it. And then just with the abuse I've had with certain people, um, thinking to myself, like, I don't want to be like them. So I've had I've always had a weird relationship to anger, but for me, it's kind of always in the background.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
try to
I
never
think,
let it control me, but it's like
mhm.
always somewhere in the background, looking for something to get angry about.
Well, and I think that's why it's important to have outlets for anger because, like, for a long time, there was one person in particular from my past who had a lot of rage and would take it out on me, and I was always like, well, I don't want to be like him, but in some ways, that was letting the experiences that I had with him control my life, um,
Mm.
and still have control over like how I express my anger. And usually my anger comes out in the form of venting and annoyance, but that's not always productive because I just kind of get stuck in the feelings then, and it's probably better to just like throw a baseball or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've been wanting to do something with it. I'd like to find a way to get it out creatively, like through music or writing.
Yeah, I think putting pen to paper is pretty good for that. I actually
Yeah.
wrote a poem that was called Fueled by Anger, and it was like really graphic. So I don't even know if I want to post it online, but maybe I could share it with you sometime. Um,
Yeah. That'd be great.
yeah. And it's just, like there were really dark things that happen to people.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to find the light when we're exposed to all of these really dark things all the time.
I know for myself that there were a lot of things that happened to me that weren't okay, and I wasn't allowed to express my anger. And I think a lot of this is just bottled up anger from that time, and I just never knew how to express it in a way that was like healthy.
Well, my abuser told me, or made me tell him, that I had an anger problem and he didn't.
Yep. I've also experienced that. Yeah, I get that.
And it's like, we all have anger. We just need to be able to express it in a healthy way where you don't punch people
Yeah. Yeah.
unless they deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see that movie about dreams with Nicolas Cage?
No.
There's a part of the movie where like he's freaking out and a bunch of guys have to hold him down. I don't know why it made me think of that.
Oh,
The
cool.
movie is about like this professor, everybody starts seeing him in their dreams, so he becomes like famous
Huh.
overnight because everybody just keeps dreaming about him.
That's trippy.
Yeah, and it made me think of like lucid dreaming and how some people think that lucid dreaming can be a way to like enter other people's dreams.
Yeah. There's this author who writes about how to do that, supposedly. Michelle Belanger, she wrote a book about dream walking.
Oh yeah.
I've never tried it, but I have a friend who astral projects, and he says he'd like to come visit me in my dreams sometime. I don't know. Actually, I had another friend actually who did do that. He didn't astral project, but he was like awake when he was doing it. But he entered a trance and he went into one of his friend's dreams, and the friend. So he never told his friend that he did this, but his friend the next day, I guess, got weirded out and was telling people that he has powers, and that, well, he was saying that he went into his dreams and he was telling people about it, and um, I guess he was freaked out. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's still a lot of things we don't understand, so I'm like, yeah, why not?
yeah, could always test it out.
Yeah, I mean, and like everyone's experiences of dreams are different. Like some people don't really remember their dreams. Um, and for other people it's more intense. Like for me, my dreams are pretty intense. And
Hmm.
I've been doing some lucid dreaming techniques again because I find that doing that helps me to tell the difference between fantasy and reality. Um, so since I started doing things like flipping the light switch on and off, and you're just like, I'm not, or when you're awake, obviously, you're like, I'm not dreaming, and you're like flipping the light switch on and off. Because in a dream, that doesn't
Yeah.
work. You would flip the light switch and it would just stay the same. Um,
Oh, okay.
or you look at your hands and you're like, I'm not dreaming right now. And then you can
Yeah.
also like tell yourself before you go to bed, I'm gonna have a lucid dream tonight, and you say it like a mantra,
Yeah.
and it takes time. You can't just do it like one day and then expect it to work. You have to do it like every single day for a long period of time.
Hmm.
So since I started doing that again, I've been like flying in my dreams again and stuff, which is cool.
Heck yeah. You're saying it helps you differentiate between fantasy and reality. So do you feel like it helps you does it give you more confidence around navigating things like psychosis?
Yeah, I think so. And like, um, that's thought I was gonna sneeze. I had an experience when I was in psychosis where I thought I gave my husband my Fitbit and I was like, "Can you please put this away?" And then I didn't know where it was, and I was like, "Can you?" I came up to him and I was like, "Can you tell me where you put my Fitbit?" And he's like, "You never gave me your Fitbit." And I was like, "Oh my
Mm.
God." So I had this like hallucination or whatever that I gave
Huh.
him my Fitbit and I really just hid it from myself. So it's stuff like that. And I think because I wasn't sleeping, I probably just like nodded off or something.
Yeah.
Um,
See, that's so interesting to me because I feel like I have this hypothesis about psychosis that it's actually the same thing as somnambulism, except the waking and the dream state are mixed up.
hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think when I have dreams where like it's things that definitely could not happen in real life, then it makes me feel better about the dream world versus the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can
Yeah.
fly in my dreams, then I can metaphorically fly in real life.
Right. Right. But I love. So I mean, I've been starting to record my dreams again about a couple months ago, and there's a friend I've been talking with who's really deep into like dream interpretation and Jungian psychology. So we were like talking a lot about that, and I was noticing these really interesting themes come up around um, like I had this one dream around my dad, and he was a supervillain, and uh, he was a supervillain who wielded fire, and then or ice, and then I was one who wielded fire, and then I had to like face off with him, and then I was supposed to join some kind of like martial arts gang that wore black gis, black black suits, and but I couldn't quite. I wasn't able to fully join for some reason, and and then this group of vampires who were trying to like initiate me, and I had to drink the blood of the head vampire, and I like half transformed but didn't fully transform. So it was like this theme around like being initiated into some kind of like special group or a group with special powers or abilities, but they were dark. But
Hmm.
I never finished the initiation. So
Sounds like a
so
mix of Avatar and Twilight.
kind of, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I was trying to make sense of it. And as I thought more about it, so at least with the vampires, it made a bit more sense because I was thinking, um, sometimes I think that how do I say it? I feel like I have this dark side to myself that I used to own a lot more, and then after kind of going through a rebirth, I just was like, I'm gonna just shove that away and not go there anymore. Um, Kind of talking, I guess that's reference against some of my anger. Um, Try to shove my anger away and deal with it in a healthier way. But sometimes I think like, what would life be like if I just what would life be like if I just reclaimed that dark part of myself and just didn't give a fuck what people think, and just didn't, because there's a seductive quality about it where you don't care what people think so much, and you you don't hesitate. You're focused on what you want, and that's what matters most. And it doesn't matter what other people want.
Mm.
And there's something seductive about that if you keep banging your head against the wall of trying to meet other people's needs all the time. And sometimes getting burned by that.
Yeah.
So I think that's why those dreams were coming up, because I was feeling like last year I was feeling really burned by people, and I
Mm.
had to put up a lot of boundaries with people, and some of them got kind of hostile towards me when I did that. And then I would go through this process of shame and thinking like, was I a bad person because I put these boundaries up? Was I being selfish? Was I being um, ungrateful? Just this cycle of shame. I think that's why those dreams kept coming up, because it was like um, taunting me almost with
Mm.
um, presenting me with this dynamic of does it does it make me a bad person to have boundaries?
No.
Right, right. But something kind of has to disentangle, I guess, between, well, I guess I'm working this out still, between the anger and the um, I know what it is. It's between not caring about what other people think so I can just follow my path, and versus trying to take out my pain and anger on other people.
Mm.
I think I need to disentangle those things still.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like I have tarot cards and I've just been doing the readings out of the little pamphlet it comes with.
Hmm.
um, and I did a reading on myself, and I remember one of the cards saying, like, basically, the reading was saying I was being selfish, and I kind of self reflected, and I was like, damn, the cards are right. I have been fucking selfish. And thinking
Mm.
about how, like, it wasn't so much about my boundaries with, like, the boundaries I was setting with other people, but my own lack of boundaries.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Because once you
Because I
have
feel like,
healthy boundaries, you have a healthier sense of self. If you don't
yeah,
have
because I feel like
boundaries, your sense of self, yeah,
I just want to be kind and accepting of everyone, but not everybody deserves that from me.
right.
That has to be earned. I can't just like freely give that out all the time and then I'm like draining all my energy giving it to people who don't care.
Yeah. Those are the vampires.
Yeah.
And for me, I realized too that if I let people take too much of my energy, eventually it puts me in a space where I reflexively start taking other people's energy to compensate. So if I don't have those boundaries with people, then eventually I end up becoming like them. And that feels hard because it feels like because I there's a part of me that wants to accept everyone. And
Yeah.
I know we all struggle. We go through tough times and we all of us need support at some time or another, but there's a different quality of energy with certain people where it's not just about that. I actually think it's about control. Maybe not consciously, but and it's not necessarily that people are doing this with ill intent because it can happen subconsciously too. But the dynamic is still there where they're using you instead of there being like a reciprocal relationship, a flow of energy between both of you.
Yeah. Like a one way type of deal where people just kind of want you to respond in a certain way so that they get what they need, but they're not like attuned to your needs at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to end up in situations like those because like what I do now when that happens is I just use the gray rock method. Do you know
The
what that
what?
is? The gray rock method.
Oh, what's that?
It's you basically it's like you make yourself so boring that you are no longer interesting to the person. Like if they send you a really long text, you just be like, "Okay, thanks for letting me know." Or
Oh,
like
okay.
whatever they tell you, you're just like, "All right." You don't give them what they're looking for. You're just kind of like giving like a really bland, lukewarm response, and eventually they'll just like lose interest in you.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like a way of setting a boundary without completely ghosting someone.
Hmm. Yeah.
Or sometimes it can be good if you want to, like, if it's somebody you have to be in contact with, like a family member,
Hmm.
so you can still like have that contact, but it will be minimal.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I could see that being applicable for family. I think I wouldn't do that if it was like a friend, that I've had
Yeah.
a lot of experiences with.
Yeah, it's
That's been
more
made
for
less
like,
good.
yeah, it's more for like people who just won't leave you alone,
Hmm.
not like something to do with a friend. It's like if I've had situations where like guys will just text me and text me and text me because they say they want a friendship, but really they're like interested, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
And then just kind of like making myself boring so they'll leave me the fuck alone.
yeah. I see. Yeah, that I could see that.
I mean, now that I'm married, I can just be like, my husband and I are going to the movies.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully they get the message at that point.
Well, not everyone does.
Not everyone does. Yeah.
Yeah, or some people are like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Like,
Oh no.
that's
Oh,
a whole different podcast episode, I think.
yeah. Shoot. That kind of person deserves to get ghosted.
Yeah,
Yeah. Man, boundaries are tough.
Yeah,
It's like
for real.
it's like um it's like in Harry Potter how Dumbledore says it's hard to stand up to your enemies, but sometimes it's even harder to stand up to your friends.
It's true. It's really true. But I've had some good conversations with friends where I'm like, that wasn't cool. And
Hmm.
then it's like, it brings the friendship closer because you're able to be like, that's my boundary.
Yeah,
Please don't cross my boundary.
yeah, exactly. Then you find out if the friendship is really solid or not, if
Yeah.
they're open to that feedback or if they if they're not.
Yeah, and it's almost like a blessing when people show you that they are not able to meet your expectations in that way and they exit
Yeah.
your life.
Does it ever mindfuck you when that happens? When do you start thinking, well, was I really in the wrong? Should I have been more
Oh yeah, I mean
open or
there was one experience I had in particular, but it involved like multiple people.
hmm.
That was really traumatic. But now if it's like a one-on-one situation, I don't get really hung up about it. And I'm more careful about who I like invite into my life now. Cause
Yeah.
I think back then it was just like I just wanted to be a part of something, but it was like not the right thing to be a part of, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm more careful too about who I get involved with and who I build friendships with.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find that balance, because in some ways I also feel like I've lost some of the youthful energy of just like I want to find that balance between like that um exuberant openness, yet the careful discernment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have that discernment when, you know, friendships can be so vulnerable.
Hmm. Yeah, I was looking at a picture of me today that came up on Facebook, and it was like from me 10 years ago, uh, 12 years ago actually, and I just looked like I had so much more vitality, and
Mm.
I seem like a different person almost.
Well, doesn't that always happen when you're like a child and then you become an adult, like, and you have more responsibility? It's like you lose all that youthful energy. And I'm like,
It's
I don't know
sad.
why my shoulder hurts right now. It's hurting again.
Oh wow. I don't like that.
Candy
I feel like
gives
it
me
doesn't
like,
have to be that way.
huh?
Skittles.
Yeah.
That's why they invented Skittles. So you could
So you
reconnect
can
with that
taste the
part too.
rainbow.
Yeah. Skittles. Awaken your inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't have to be that way. I don't I know it's normal, but I don't yeah. I've been reading
I
this book
mean,
about archetypes. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say it's natural to like not have as much energy as a child because a child needs to have energy
Yeah.
so they can grow.
Well, I mean, this was me like in my 20s though, like and it wasn't so much like having I don't think it was so much about having like more physical energy per se. It was just more like an openness to life and exuberance. I mean, back then, I talked with a lot of different kinds of people, and I was pretty sociable. I mean, it kind of helped me survive because I was couch surfing for like almost a year, and I knew no one. I knew no one here. I just moved here kind of on a whim, and just like met lots of random people and made friends that way, and stayed at people's places that way for like a whole year. And I feel like I'm such a different person now. I don't feel like that part's truly gone away. I think it's just like repressed. I don't know. It's not. Well, it's like when I take psychedelics, it's there.
Hmm. Why why don't you think you can can't or sorry, why do you think you can't access that when you're not on psychedelics?
I think there's just like a belief or some resistance. I think it's just like experiences I've had, and it just kind of like closes something off.
Hmm.
So maybe it's just like a sign like I haven't fully healed from some of those things.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
That's an intention I have. I'm gonna put out there to reconnect with that more.
Yeah. Hmm.
Felt this kind of got into a heavy conversation,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
maybe that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like how to wrap things up because we've
Hmm.
been talking for a while.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, we should ask. Is it okay if I just throw something out there for the audience?
Sure.
So, if you guys have any questions about anything peer related, just pop it in the comments section, and yeah, let us know.
Yeah, there's also the ability to I think there's Q&A on Spotify, so
Perfect.
people can leave a question that way. Hmm. Well, to wrap up, what's your favorite candy from your childhood?
Oh, my favorite candy, almond joy.
Almond Joy. Um, I think mine is Hershey bars,
Nice. Can't go wrong with
especially the
chocolate.
cookies and the chocolate one and the cookies and cream.
Ooh, cookies. I never had that. Cookies and cream Hershey bar.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been trying to give myself more chocolate lately. Like when I go to the store,
Yeah.
just have to have a little bit of chocolate at least on the side.
Yeah, I'm trying to not be so strict with how I eat and I've been having a lot more sugar, but I'm also like whatever.
Yeah,
As long as I'm eating, I'm good.
yeah. Your body will let you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. See you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you, folks.